Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name's Preston, and today we are doing the purple color review for Royal Bloodlines booster pack OP10. And I think we started with like oh, this could be an interesting idea. Well, this is probably just another purple set. What can we use in other decks? At least that's how I feel about it so far. So let's dig in and see if there's anything useful for this Don Quixote archetype, and if there's anything we can use here. I was really excited to see the Don Quixote pirates come back, but I don't know what this is doing really. So let's jump in, and we'll start with our singular leader, Sugar here. Sugar has the effect of, at the end of your turn, if you have a character with characteristic Don Quixote pirates with 6,000 or more power, activate one Don card. That's pretty cool. So just by having stronger characters, which 6k is not a huge threshold, you get a active Don. That's great. During your opponent's turn, once per turn, when you activate an event, add up to one Don from your Don deck as active. That's great. Let's play events and ramp on leader. That's lovely. We love to have ramp on leader. It just expands and makes it that much better to have purple as one of your leader colors. Ramp is great, and in games in which you can ramp consistently, ramp is incredible. Getting resources faster than your opponent is always a good thing, just like drawing's always a good thing. But I feel like One Piece really doesn't do ramp justice. You have to play a very interesting game to make it worth playing, and I don't know if they've quite hit exactly what we would expect. We got this really nice alt art for Sugar. But yeah, what we're doing here is we're looking for a bunch of event cards. Purple in this set is grab an event card from your trash. We'll have to see if there's anything relevant event-wise from this set that we can use, as well as any other set. What are we going to actually be playing with this? Because a lot of the cards rely on events coming back to hand. Before we jump into our events, let's jump into our SRs just to get these guys out of the way, because we got some brothers to talk about here. We got an 8-cost 9k power Don Quixote do Flamingo. On play, Don -1 up to one character with the characteristic Don Quixote pirates with a cost of 5 or less from your hand will appear. So play a 5 or less from your hand for a -1 Don. Pretty easy to do if you have 8 Don on board. -1, not a big deal at that point. Take it. I don't want it anyways. 5 or less, we'll have to see what 5 or less cards we can play. I think the next one is a very interesting option. When your opponent attacks, once per turn, you can rest one of your Don, add one Don from your Don deck as active. Okay, it's an 8 cost that ramps. I mean, at that point in the game, unless you are playing like huge minuses, that doesn't really matter. Because even with huge minuses, you can play the Black Maria that gets you back a whole bunch of Don anyways. And late game, they stay. So, I don't know if ramp really matters on an 8 cost. But it's there, so maybe it'll be important. It would be nice to play some event cards that have minuses and then get it immediately back, so you don't have to rely on the 2 Don per turn to get back up to 10 or something. It's nice, but as always, we get a Doflamingo alt art. Pretty standard for Doflamingo alt arts. But we have a 5 cost to talk about. And when this first came out, I was so excited to see it. Looking back, what does it do, really? It's awkward, I think, in the long run, especially with most people not playing enough event cards to see a ton of use. But maybe this deck can recycle some, which would be really cool. Alright, Rocinante is a 5 cost 6k power Don Quixote pirate. On play, discard 1 event, draw 2 cards. That's pretty cool. I always say it, drawing cards is a great thing. I love to draw cards. For the cost of 1 event in hand, again, we don't generally play that many events in this game. So having an event in hand with this card might not be the most exciting thing to do, because usually your events are very specific. And most of the time they're going to be counter. So I'm not sure if you exactly want to discard them with this card. I guess in the long run we can get them back, but it just feels bad. Okay, at the end of your turn, if you have 7 or more Don cards on your field, activate 2 Don cards. That's pretty great, especially if you bring it out with the Dofi leader. You are restanding 2 Don to be used with your event counters during your opponent's turn, which is great. But let's move on straight to the events from this set. We'll come back to some characters after that. Let's see if the events match up to what we would want, or are we going to have to dig back into previous sets? Alright, this long named card with 1 cost has a main / counter that lets you search. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Don Quixote Pirates other than this card, and add it to your hand. Then place the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order. So, top 3 searcher, if you're playing red purple or green purple. I mean, if you're playing it in this deck, there's no red Don Quixote Pirates yet, but if you play the Dofi leader and you play green purple, then you have a much bigger card pool to reach into, and a 1 cost counter searcher is pretty interesting to get to dig up that 2k counter off of a little attack. I think would be really cool. But it's a good card to discard in the long run. This is Divine Punishment, a 5 cost event. Activate main. KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Afterwards, add up to 1 Don from your Don deck as active. Sure, that's fine. It is a 5 cost event that KOs a 5 cost or less. I mean, I like the cards that cost less at KO more. I don't know. I think it's fine, but I would like to see more. The ramping at a 5 cost is whatever. Like, there's only so much ramp you need. It's great, but we only have 10 Don cards total and we get 2 per turn. So if we can get 1 or 2 ramp really early, that's all that I think really matters, to get like 1 full turn ahead. I don't think there's a reason to try to get 2 or 3 turns ahead. Next one up here, we got this 3 cost event. Little Bear Toy is the translation I'm getting here, and it's okay. It's interesting. So for 3 cost, you get 4,000 power to 1 of your characters or leaders for this battle. After that, if you have 7 or more Don, if you have 7 or more Don cards on your field and 5 or less cards in your hand, draw 1 card. I think there's too many conditions on the back half of that for a 3 cost event to be expecting 7 or more Don in your field. Puts this towards the late game, mid to late game, like Don phases, when it's such a low cost card. And then also putting the hand size condition on it, I feel like is a little bit much. Overall, the events are okay. They're not my favorite. I'm not reaching for these first. If I'm playing green purple like full Don Quixotes, I'll grab that event card. I'll grab that searcher event. I think that's interesting to have it on counter and on main. But if you think about like purple events here, there's it says 51 hits here. I think it's closer to 42 because they have the EBO1 reprints here that bring the count down by like 9-ish. But if we look here, you think about it, Jet probably gets played decently as a zero cost event that does quite a bit. We bounce around in here. Specific decks might play some stuff. Unfortunately, one of the most common events I think is this Luffy, but it is very specifically a Straw Hat Crew card, so not relevant for our Don Quixote Pirates. And then we got some like really old ramp stuff from set 1, which was on the previous page, and then like Blast Breath might be interesting as a pretty cheap, strong counter. Getting 4k power off of a 1/1 I think is still pretty nice. But the event cards overall, like, what are you thinking of reaching for in your Don Quixote Pirates? I don't know, maybe ramp. That's what this says, right? Yeah. Maybe. I think this might have something fun to do with it. But like, if you look at this deck revolving around pulling events back, add up to 1 purple event card from your trash or hand to your hand. Add up to 1 purple event card with cost of 5 or less from your trash to your hand. I don't know if there's enough. Luckily, we do get some nice quality of life stuff for the Don Quixote Pirates. This is a top 5 searcher that works similarly to our other 1 cost searchers, Rest It and Search. Our SRs are quite nice. We do get a 2k counter in Baby 5 with a decent effect. I mean, we're always going to like that, right? And early on at that. And then late game 2k counter is great. We also have this Foxy that came out of nowhere for me. You can place this character into the trash if your Don on your field is less or equal to the number of Don your opponent's field draw. That's pretty interesting. 2k counter, draw a card for getting rid of itself for 2 cost is so 2 cost, draw a card. I think that's okay. I'll take it. And it's Foxy, so we gotta shout out the Foxy cards. And then we also got a Germa Searcher, so some more support for Reiju. But with that being said, again, these are just my opinions. I want to know what you think about this purple set. Am I missing something? Is this actually quite a busted set for purple? And I'm overlooking the fact that our purple SRs are actually really good. Let me know in the comments what you think about the set as a whole and how it will impact the meta, if at all. I don't know if it will. I think we'll have to see a red Don Quixote deck that actually helps this set. But with that being said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to get more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe, and until next time, peace.